Hello, boys, girls, and squirrels. This is Daniel, and I'm a composer who produces, mixes, and masters my own music. And so if you're a composer or a songwriter and you're producing your own music, this is the channel that's going to help you raise your game to the next level. So today I asked this question: can you create a professional sounding song using only free tools? So I figured the best way to answer this question was to attempt to create a professional sounding song using only free tools. And so I have a song here that I've created, and I did not cheat at all. Every plugin, every EQ, compressor, instrument is all free tools that you can get. I'm going to have them all linked in the description. And so let me go ahead and play you a little snippet of the song that I created using these tools. And then I'm going to show you exactly what I used so you can get an idea if these tools are for you and if this is something that could help you in your production. So I'll go ahead and switch my screens. And I'll go ahead and play a little snippet of this song, and then I'll break it down for you. All right, so there's the song, and I want to start showing you the instruments I used. I used 4 virtual instruments to create this song, and then I used some different EQs and effects plugins that I'll show you. But let me first show you the instruments that I use. So the first of the 4 I used was Steven Slate's drums, which is SSD5. It comes with 1 drum kit in the free version, and that's the kit that I used. And I'll go ahead, let me bypass all my plugins because I want you to hear this raw without all my effects on it. And so here's what this drum kit sounds like just without any of my effects. Okay, so that's what that sounds like without all my effects on it. And I want to show you the second instrument used. The second one is by a company called Arturia, and it's the plugin is called Analog Lab Lite. Awesome free plugin. 500 presets in this, and it's modeled after vintage synths. So you got all kinds of different vintage synths, but you also have pianos, and you have like Rhodes piano in there, grand pianos, upright pianos. You also have organs. So there's a lot in this. I was kind of blown away when I first got this, that the amount of free sounds that you get in this plugin. So that was the second one I used. The third one I used was by a company called Spitfire Audio, and this is the BBC Symphony Orchestra. Really amazing free plugin where you get different pieces of the orchestra. In this, you've got everything in the orchestra: violins, 1, 2, violas, cellos, you've got horns, you've got percussion, you've got the trumpets, you've got everything in here that's in an orchestra. And of course, since it's a free version, you've got limited articulations and stuff, limited round robins, but for free, you really can't complain. There's a lot that you can do with this plugin. And then the last one is also by Spitfire Audio, and this is Spitfire Audio's Labs. Now, if you don't have this, you need to go and get it right now. It's an amazing plugin with lots of free sounds in it, and they're adding to it all the time. So really enjoyed this plugin. All right, so let me go ahead and break it down. So you heard a sample of the track. Those were the ones I used. So let me just solo the drums, and then I'm going to pop in the effects that I use, and I'll start showing you some of the plugins that I use. So here's the drums soloed. That's dry. Here's with all the free plugin effects I used. All right, so what did I use in that? Well, let's start with the kick sound. The thing that's the biggest game changer is right here, this plugin. This is the Slate Digital. Let me zoom in on it. This is 2 free plugins that you can get from Slate Digital. One's called The Monster. The other one is called Revival. These are awesome plugins. It's hard to believe that these are free. The Monster is kind of your 1176 bombastic compression, like on the all buttons in setting, where you're getting like the really bombastic compression. So you're not just getting compression, you're getting a lot of saturation. So let me actually just bypass this, and I'll show you that kick drum with and without it. So let me see if I can solo that. Okay, here it is. So here's without. Here's with. So it's adding a ton of saturation. I love both these plugins. Revival I use a lot on the mix bus, actually. This is great on mix bus. The Monster is great on drums. There's a lot you could probably use it on, but it's kind of a no-brainer on drums, especially if you're going for that thick, powerful drum sound that you want to cut through everything. So that's one of the first free plugins that I wanted to highlight today. The other plugins I used in the drums here, so my EQs, I used 2 EQs. Again, every plugin I used was free. And I used 2 EQs, both by a company called Dawn Labs. One is called the Slick EQ, and the other one is called, let me see, it's the TDR Nova. So this is the other one that I use. So these were my only EQs that I used in this session, and both very usable. The TDR is more of your kind of your graphical. I mostly just used it to do like high pass filtering and maybe some sweetening here and there, and both very usable. Both decent EQs. I did definitely miss my FabFilter Pro Q EQ, but for free you can't complain. They definitely were very usable EQs. Let's see, what else do I have? On the snare, I have another free plugin called Boz. It's from a company called Boz Digital Labs called Bark of Dog. I really like this plugin. It's a really cool plugin. So now this plugin actually, in the classic mode, it's adding, it's more of it's an EQ plugin, and it's adding like a low end boost and kind of a saturation. The classic mode is based on like classic EQs. The passive mode, from what my understanding is it's based off the Pultec, and really sounds awesome. And then the combo mixes both of the classic and passive together. And so with the snare, what I did was I added a boost at 180, and I thought it sounded really great. So I could show you with and without real quick. Let me just. Here's that snare. So that's with. Let me take it out. Come on now. There it is. And again with. So yeah, it's subtle, but it definitely added some nice bottom to that snare drum. So let's see, what else did I use? I used, and this is one of the best free plugins I think on the planet, if not the best free plugin on the planet. Xfer, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but Xfer's OTT, awesome plugin. I actually use that a lot across this session. It's a dynamic, it's a multi-band upward and downwards compressor, and I actually used it more for tone shaping than compression in this session because I didn't have my go-to EQs. This actually served me really well as a shaper, being able to shape my sounds almost like an EQ. All right, so let me go ahead and move over to Arturia Labs. Let me just play the Arturia Labs without the rest of the mix, just soloed, so you can hear what that sounds like. So there you have it. I have some, looks like 6 different sounds here. I've got some bass, I've got some higher sounding synth sounds going on there, and all very usable, all awesome stuff. Let's see, I can introduce a couple new plugins that I haven't talked about yet. One is the Valhalla Freq Echo that I used on the grand piano sound. Let me just solo that real quick. So that's without the Freq Echo. Here's with. So let me just rave on the Valhalla Freq Echo for a second. Absolutely free plugin. This is one of my favorite delay plugins because it's so easy to use, and I love the shift function here. This actually shifts the delay to a higher frequency, or you can go a lower frequency, and you can get some really interesting things if you really crank this up. I just love that this plugin, and so in this instance I'm just using it for a little bit of dotted eighth note delay, which sounded great. But love this plugin. This is one that's very usable on a lot of stuff. So let's move on to the BBC Symphony Orchestra by Spitfire Audio. So I'm going to play you a snippet of that by itself. Beautiful, gorgeous sounding orchestra sound for free. So yeah, absolutely go and grab this. If you don't have any orchestra sounds, this gets you in the door with professional sounding orchestra sounds for free. So highly recommend this plugin. I've used it a lot, especially before I got some other libraries that are more expensive libraries. This was actually really awesome to start with. Let's move on to the last instrument that I use, which was Spitfire Audio's labs, or instruments I should say. And so I ended up using, looks like about 8 labs instruments, and I'll just run through some of these. Let me just see if I can solo. So there's another piano sound. This is called the Labs Soft Piano, and it's a very cinematic, gorgeous sounding piano. And let me go to the next one. Okay, so that is this is called Synth Pad, Pad 1. Beautiful sound. This is another lab sound called excuse me, that's another lab sound called Moon Guitar, which was really prevalent in a track. Let me play the whole track because that kind of sticks out in the track. Yeah, really thought that added a lot to the track. And then let's see, we have Pluck Synth. I thought this was a really cool sound, actually. I'm going to play that soloed. And then these I think really added. I had the Labs short string, or strings short. And later in the song I had that same sound but another octave higher. And so yeah, these are all great tools for free. I mean, especially considering like just a few years ago, you just didn't have tools like this without really opening up your wallet. So really happy to rave about these free sounds that you can use. Let me see if there's any other plugins I use that I haven't talked about yet. Oh, here's one. This one is by a company called Softube, and it's called Saturation, Softube Saturation. This actually I used a lot in this session on several instruments. I don't know if there's one I can really demo it well on. Looks like this cello. Let me play this cello for you. The bypass. Okay, so that's the cello without saturation. Let me pop in the saturation. Okay, in. So really great plugin. Definitely very useful. I use it a lot. It's a nice sounding bite and saturation. So I highly recommend that. And let's see, is there any other plugin I can talk about? I used Valhalla Supermassive. Actually, this is what I use for all the reverb on the track. And it was very usable as a reverb. It's not just a reverb. It has a lot of things you can do with it. You can use it as a delay, almost like a modulator. There's a lot of cool presets, but I just tried to make it as useful as possible as just a reverb, and actually worked well for that. Valhalla is known for really great sounding reverbs. You can check out their other products that are very affordable reverbs that actually use a lot. I use their Valhalla Room, which is a $49 plugin, which I highly recommend. All right, is there anything else I can show you? On the bus, I used a little bit of, this is another free plugin. This is a plugin by Kilohearts. Let me see if I can zoom in here. And I'm all over the place. Here we go. This is a plugin by Kilohearts, and it is a stereo widener. And so I used this to just widen the stereo image a little bit, and it actually sounded good. I think I only used 115%, so I didn't use a ton on it, but just a little bit, and actually I was happy with what it sounded like. Let's see, is there any other plugins that I can highlight here? I think I've went over pretty much all of them. So I was very happy with what I was able to do in this session. So what did I miss? Using only free tools and forcing myself to do this, what did I miss? I'll tell you what I missed the most was my FabFilter Pro Q EQ. The Tokyo Dawn Labs EQs, if you don't have anything else or if you're only using stock EQs, you'll probably be happy with them. I've been using FabFilters Pro Q for a few years now, and I really missed it because I'm able to just get what I want really quickly. It was a little harder for me to try to get what I wanted with the Tokyo Dawn Labs EQs. What else did I miss? I really missed all my bus processors that I usually use. I usually use FabFilters Pro Q2 as a subtractive EQ on the bus. I use AMEC EQ200 by Plugin Alliance as an additive EQ almost on every single session. I really missed that. And I missed my go-to limiters. Now, I did use a limiter that is another one that I can show you. So let me switch over to my screen here. I used this as a soft clipper and as a limiter on the output. It's by a company called Frontier, another free plugin. And I was able to get something that I liked out of it. That being said, I didn't have a lot of time to spend with it. And I did miss having my go-to limiters. I use sometimes the FGX by Slate Digital, and sometimes I use the Ozone 9 Maximizer. So I did miss having those. But overall, I was absolutely blown away with what I could do. I've never forced myself to do a song like this where I only use free tools. I was blown away with what I could do with just free tools. And so I hope this video helps you in getting some ideas of how you could use these tools to benefit you in your productions. So I hope you like this video, and I hope this was useful and helpful to you. You can help me out by liking this video and subscribing to this channel, and also click that bell for notifications. I've got a lot more videos like this coming out, and I do also product reviews where I review new products that come out. And so I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you in the next one.